Welcome back to the Iron Insight. Thank you for starting your week off right with the Iron Insight every Monday morning at 4 a.m. I'm Bryn Welds.
And I'm Andrew Nichols with Southern Leatherworks.
I'm Steve Floyd from Holiday Routine Designs.
So we're sitting down with Steve today. Now, we both know Steven in person, and you've gotten a lot better over time in the social media game than you were when we first met you. So
yeah, I'm not real big on social media. It's just kind of not my natural, the way I do things, right? But yeah, I've worked really hard. I've looked at a few examples out there in the game and just kind of tried to improve my presence, I suppose.
Yeah, so you got two different pages because you started off with just the Holiday Routine Garage, but now that you're into the Backcaps, 3D printing, we'll get into all that, but you split off. But I've always wondered where Holiday Routine comes from.
Yeah, so man, I was in the Navy for just over 20 years, and Holiday Routine is a thing in the Navy. In boot camp on Sundays, you get holiday routine. So basically they quit beating your ass and messing with you and etc. So when you wake up, you have time to like write letters to home, write it in handwriting, you know what I'm saying, on paper. And then they read all your letters and make sure you're not saying anything crazy or asking for any like goods, send me some stuff. And then they fold it up, put it back in the envelope and send it off. Right. And so holiday routine is pretty deep for us in the military, for the Navy anyway. And then when you get out on the ship, holiday routine, I want to say that the ship's company, the people who are stationed on the ship, they get to wake up later. Breakfast is different. And the main thing is there's no cleaning stations. And so cleaning stations is when the whole ship like shuts down and every human on the ship has to clean their area or something, right? And so, yeah, holiday routine kind of just means a little something to me, and I thought it kind of rolled right into the company name there.
Nice. And how'd you get into like the Backcaps? Because obviously we met you in welding school,
right?
But you've taken it like 3 steps further.
Yeah. So like when we were in college, I realized that I was not going to be like a top tier premier level welder, right? Like I was in welding just because I like welding, you know what I'm saying? I wanted to get the degree. I wanted to learn the skills, but I had this like passion to bring some sort of product to the market, you know what I'm saying? And I went through a bunch of different ideas, but I knew that I wasn't going to bring a welding product as in laying beads out, right? And so there's actually a couple people that are making them and have been making them. There's a dude in Russia. I want to say his page is like in Exoplane. I may be saying that wrong, but he makes some top quality products, right? And I was like, man, I could probably do that, right? And so I kind of started thinking and developing, and I went through a bunch of prototypes. And it's kind of a funny story. I was using a welder, the blue ones over in the corner. Do you remember what they were called? The TIG welders?
Sandrex?
Yeah. The Sandrex, yeah. So it's funny because something was wrong with the Sandrex that I was using. I want to say that it had like a weak TIG handle or whatever it was. The torch was wrong. So that thing would get like nuclear hot, right? And it would get so hot I couldn't hold it with a glove on. And so that's what I used to prototype all my Backcaps, right? And so a bunch of them melted and like just exploded and et cetera, right? So, yeah, I probably prototyped for a year and a half before I ever like sold one, and just making them to where they wouldn't fail, right? And so I don't know why, but luckily I was on that Sandrex, and it was just all messed up, and it put my standards real high, right? And so now they're pretty high quality. Yeah, I got on the Etsy page and started selling a few, and it's Andrew's fault that I started the Etsy page, man. I found out he was doing his hoods, and I looked on his Etsy page, kind of like background, checking him out. And dude, he was like super successful, right? And so I was like, well, this is somebody I know in person, and they're successful. They're bringing a product. I could do that. You know what I'm saying? So like I started an Etsy page, and there's a whole mountain of learning to do there, right? It's a whole nother topic, but
it's awful.
It's
awful.
It's terrible.
It's terrible. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I threw a couple of my first ones on there, and they sold like pretty quickly. I want to say there's a dude in Florida. He bought 5 of them, and I want to say he used them to like reverse engineer them and start his own page, which is cool. Hey, people are.
But where's he at? I can't be far from him. Where's he at?
I don't know.
You have his address.
I do. And so, yeah, like,
Hey, Steven said knock it off. That's what Steven said.
no, it's cool that people took notice, right? And so,
I take compliment in it too when it happens to me as
yeah.
well.
And so, that's kind of how we got into it. And then once they kind of sold a few of them, I was like, man, this is a real thing. And so I've always had a kind of a passion for machining. I bought a lathe, a manual lathe, and then sometime during the beginning, I bought a CNC lathe, but there was a circuit card or something messed up inside of it. So I took it all apart and refurbished everything, and then I needed this circuit card, but it's an old piece. The lathe is kind of old and not name brand, right? So that took another year before I found the circuit card on eBay, and then I got that running, but I had no instruction manuals, no information whatsoever, right? Except for like a 25-year-old company website. The copyright at the bottom of the website was like 1993. You know what I'm saying? And so eventually I got with their like tech reps and the people who made it. He's a dude in New York, and he kind of walked me through a few steps and we got it running. And so I didn't start using the CNC until about maybe 4 or 5, 6 months ago, but now that's like changed the game. So I can really make a lot of these and make them like into shapes that I want rather than doing it on the manual lathe, because that's a lot of work. So yeah, that's kind of how I got into it, man. I wanted a product that I could bring that was, a reflection of me and that would be into the welding scene that, because I enjoyed welding.
And now that you're like past all that prototyping and all that, you jumped into some valuable connections way quicker than Andrew and I did with Edge Welding Cups. So your products were at FabTech, but you weren't. When can we drag your ass to FabTech? It's been like 3 years straight now. We've been begging.
Man, I guess I'm going to lean on Andrew again. I seen that he's going to FabTech next year, and I kind of told everybody that my goal was to go to FabTech next year. I didn't know it was in Vegas, but that ain't going to hurt me,
No, it's okay.
I'm all about it. So, yeah, I think that 26 is the year to go to FabTech, and maybe offline, me and Andrew have to get down and work on that booth or something. I don't know almost anything about getting a booth or being a exhibitor at FabTech, right? But I know a couple dudes that do.
I could definitely walk you through, because I was in your same shoes. Like, I have no idea how to even start. And then over the last 3 FabTechs, it's just been talking to people and they're like, hey, how'd you do this? Or what'd you do? And what would you recommend? And I got it pretty well narrowed down.
Nice. So. Yeah. So kind of that's the goal. And being connected to Edge, that was like a blessing, man. It was the first time like a legitimate company, a legitimate entity had contacted me and wanted my product, right? I was stressing, dude. I was so nervous. It's to put yourself out there and to put your product out there with a company that's, heavy into the game. It's a blessing, and like, oh man, I was like knuckle dragging. So, but yeah, it went well. Everything I seen from FabTech and the displays and everybody was real satisfied. So that's kind of like a little bit of a confidence booster. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So yeah, man, what a blessing.
Especially when the display that it was on was made by, I don't remember, is it like Dark Metal Fab, I think, or something? Is his name, with over 100,000 followers?
I think he had like 200 and something thousand, 290 or something. It was insane, So just to be able to like produce something that was connected to those entities and those people that are, like I said, heavy into the game, man, it was what an opportunity.
Yeah, crazy. And your Backcaps look really good on that. I mean, I saw people messing with them, touching them, looking at them. Like, you could tell they were definitely drawn to looking at the Backcaps. So you got a lot of attention through it. That's awesome. For sure.
I work really hard on them, man. Bryn, do you remember me telling you about baking them in the oven?
Yeah.
Man, my wife come in and I've got a bunch of Backcaps on a tray, baking them in the oven because I was prototyping, right? And she was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "R&D, I got to make sure they're legit."
Real high-tech shit. Don't worry about it.
I told Bryn, I said, "Could you imagine if you walked out in the garage and your girl was out there messing with your shit and you were like, what are you doing?" And she was like, "R&D.
Got a torch fired up or something?" Yeah.
Oh my gosh, so... Yeah, like I said, man, I work real hard on them, and it's got my name on them. Like it's got to be legit, and not bragging, it'd probably come around, knock on wood, but I've only had one customer come back and say, hey, I had a problem. And obviously I replaced it on the spot. I just told them, hey, just pick one off the website and I'll send it to you immediately, because, I want to guarantee my work, right? But I want to know, like, if they fail, I want to know what happened, right? So I got to make improvements to prevent that, right? And so I want to say that he was probably using a WP17 or a CK17 on like 400 amps, AC, right? So those torches aren't meant for that much amperage, right? You got to have the right setup to run what you run. But from what I've seen, and I've gave Bryn a bunch of prototypes over the years, there's not really many problems if you got your shit set up right. I've been using probably one of the early prototypes for a couple years now. I just switched it out for a new one. It's pretty fire. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a huge part about product development. And
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
it took me a lot longer to realize that, just because I think I was young. I had, no idea what I was doing. I was still in college trying to do this first product ever, and not only that, I'm a kid, so a lot of oversight there. But that initial, figuring out what works and what doesn't work is so crucial. And I do that with every product I come out with
Yeah.
now. Like, I spend more time and money developing it than anything.
Yeah, man, like the money, so I'm not making any profit.
Yeah.
I got all this
Yeah,
equipment and
absolutely.
stuff to pay for,
Yep.
and et cetera, et cetera. And I try to keep them affordable, you know what I mean? Because
Absolutely.
if it's not affordable, people aren't going to buy it. And then what's the point of being in business, right? So I try to keep them affordable, but that really cuts my profits down pretty low. And then, Etsy, man, they're going to take like most of that right away.
They're gonna get their pound of flesh. That's
and
for
then
sure.
If you're trying to advertise, your advertising funds eat up basically all of your profit. And so, yeah, like I said, I just enjoy making them, man. Like I get my son out there and we run the CNC, and I decked out my CNC with like LEDs, so when I turn everything on, it's like bright. So yeah, it's cool, man. My son calls it the machine, Dad, are you going to run the machine? Yeah, let's go, it's pretty cool, man. And I just kind of have a passion for it. Nice. Like after we graduated in welding. So from the military, I have, it's called the Montgomery GI Bill, right? They pay for college and et cetera, tuition and all that. I had a bunch of time left because I had my, what are they called? The general courses?
Yeah, Gen Eds.
Yeah, the Gen Eds. I had all my Gen Eds done so I could just focus on welding. I graduated that, and then I went straight into the advanced machining program. So that's like the CNCs, the lathes, the mills, man, the wire EDM, the sinker. There's all kinds of stuff out there, right? And the college over in Hastings is it's a Haas Technical Education Center. So
really,
oh my gosh, dude, there's just Haas machines everywhere, right?
Are you
Top
serious?
Of the line. Yeah, it's super legit. So when I got over there, they were like, hey, since you have your Gen Eds done, we're kind of combining two programs. Basically, drafting, you can do architectural, I'm doing mechanical, and there's one more, I can't remember. But anyway, drafting and machining, they're combining them, and you can do them at the same time. So, we're talking full course loads, though. So, yeah, I did the machining. I graduated this summer, and then I'm still finishing the drafting degree. I'll finish in December. So kind of combining all of those three trades, drafting, machining, and welding has really helped me make the Backcaps because it's kind of what I love, So I've got blueprints on them, and I drew them up in SolidWorks, and then you get the tool paths done in Mastercam, and then that spits out G code that I have to like retranslate into my CNC. I'm going to post some videos soon of some crashes, man, because like we say at school, like crash happens, like.
Yep.
You run some code that you don't know for the first time, and sometimes some crazy stuff happens. So it's pretty funny.
But that's what gets the views too. I love watching crash videos.
They love
People love crash videos.
Yeah, going back to the social media thing, like I'm not real big on, I guess, presenting myself. I'm not really selling myself, but I am. But I'm trying to keep my page focused on the products, what I'm saying? It's not a person page, it's a product page, right? But people don't want to just see your product, right? They want to see some depth to it, right? Maybe the person behind the product and all that, which I'm going to try to get better at. But they love the machining ones, right? I'll throw a product on there, get a few views, throw a machining one on there, and instantly it's at like 1,000 something views, which for me is a big deal.
Absolutely. But it's still a big deal to me sometimes, especially on TikTok. I can't get TikTok rolling anymore.
Okay, yeah, I've been told. Everybody tells me go to TikTok. Instagram is the algorithm. They say is difficult, but TikTok is kind of you can kind of explode easier on TikTok.
Yeah, I think it's a lot quicker. And your machining videos would probably do like those short snippets, 5-10 second machining videos or crashes. They would do really, really good on TikTok. But I think if you figure out Instagram, that's I think that's the money right there.
Yeah.
But you can also sell on TikTok if you get above 10,000 followers. And to be able to sell on TikTok, that's pretty huge. So,
yeah, that's like coming from Etsy, I'm trying to get into my own .com. Me and Andrew kind of talked about it, getting into a .com, and then if you could sell on TikTok, Facebook Marketplace, anywhere that I can get my product out and people can purchase it, it's kind of like the goal. But
yeah,
I'd like to have my own spot where it's my site with my products, the one-stop shop.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like what I found is the just having, like you said, if you could have 4 different places that you're selling, whether it's, your suppliers, so whether it's to Edge, Etsy.com, and TikTok, and if you get an Instagram shop, that would be good too. I think I've heard that's really good. I have not set up mine yet, but you're hitting, 4 or 5 different, crowds that would probably never see your .com or never see your Etsy or never see this or that. But I mean, I revamped my Etsy not long ago, because like I was tired of getting charged what they charge. I was like, this is stupid, screw it. And then not long ago, I revamped it, new pictures, new setup, new description, like professionalized it finally.
Yeah.
And it was a very, very smart move, because that's been slowly growing back to what it used to be. So
yeah, it's tough, man. I'm sure it's the same on a .com or anywhere else, but like, Etsy, if you don't like fill all the product photos and a video, so that's 10 photos and a video for every product, so right now I've got like 30 something Backcaps listed. 30 times 10 is a bunch. It's just 300 photos plus 30 videos. I had to convert my like closet down here into a photo video room, you know what I mean? I built all kinds of stuff to just for the photo side, lights and
30
lamps and stands
descriptions
and holders and backgrounds and it's it's a real thing.
It is. Absolutely it is. Yeah.
So I'm still running 2 of your prototypes
here
at the house on an air-cooled torch, only like a 255 amp.
I would say they're probably good up to like 250, 300. If you got the torch set up right, you know what I'm saying, that they'll take it. Like I said, that Sandrex, man, it would get so hot I couldn't hold it with a glove on.
If it's handling that's pretty decent.
Oh man, it was crazy. So
when you, like, say if I wanted to go to your website, you have obviously in your description what backcap fits what. But what do you need to look for if you have a torch? What do you need to look for to make sure one of your backcaps will fit?
Yeah, so I make only one model right now, and it's for the basically the 17, 18, and 26 series. So 17, 18 is air cooled, water cooled, and then the 26 is just the higher amperage torch, right? So it would be like a CK17, CK26, or WP17, WP18, 26. Yeah, just the main thing is just matching your torch to the amperage that you're welding. If you're going to weld high, get the higher torch. And if you're just doing little stuff like me, I have a 26, but I never really weld that high. It was just an upgrade. I got a welder through Bryn, right? And so, just make sure you match your torch to what you're welding. And most welders that are buying my Backcaps are pretty educated in welding, right? But you get a few people that are beginners and they just want to like bling out their stuff, right? And so
they don't want to be cool. Yep.
Yeah, which is totally fine.
I get it, absolutely.
Yeah, just I would say match your torch and your equipment to what you're welding.
Yeah, I'm not in the TIG world very much. I mean, I like doing it. I used to do a lot of aluminum, but like as far as like the in-depth stuff, like what torches are what cups are what, that's not really my forte.
Gosh, that's a whole nother thing. There's a lot of information there.
A lot.
I probably use the wrong cups for what I do all the time, but there's so many variations. You got the small ones and the big ones and the glass ones and the this ones, and there's a bunch going on there. It's kind of funny you talk about like welders, because you got Earth, right? There's a bunch of humans that weld, right? So let's take all the humans on Earth, and then like now you're down to welders, and then you're like down to TIG welders, and then you're like TIG welders who want customized gear,
that are worth a shit, that actually know what they're doing.
Slice of humans, right? So,
well, I think the same thing about my welding hoods. So, I mean, I'm sure you kind of saw that as well. Like, oh, this guy's got a niche too, but he's doing okay. Like, Yeah, it's a niche.
Yeah.
I legit think it's a niche because everybody wants the big screen, they want the big hood, all that. But then there's that oil and gas, that roll cage maker, the boiler makers, those
Right.
kind of small guys that they want a smaller 2x4 1/4 custom hood.
Yep.
So
It's funny
I
'cause
feel where you're at. I really
Yeah.
do. Oh my goodness.
it's funny because those same niche welders, those are the ones that don't want my back caps, right? You're not going to
Yes.
see a pipeliner out there with one of my back caps, but they
No.
might want your hood, you know? Um,
Exactly. So different niches, but I mean yours is probably even more niche than mine.
it's wild, yeah.
So
You know,
yeah,
it's cool though, to make a product for a niche environment, that niche market, you know, that and to be kind of successful, I guess, because they're starting to sell, they're starting to kind of kick off,
that's awesome.
and
Absolutely.
gosh, it's yeah, man, it feels good.
That's great.
The cool thing about with your products is a lot of the like automotive welders are the ones that would like to run the customized back caps, and Austin Hill actually took
Yeah,
one
Austin Hill. Yep.
from FabTech,
Yeah.
and so he'll be running that now, and that's not like a light name to throw around.
Yeah, that
But
man, so it's what is it? It's like daunting, some of the big names out there who, like Austin, man, his quality is top notch, plus his
Yeah,
social presence is, top tier, right? And so Edge Welding Cups, the same. It's like, man, it's a daunting thing when big names, get a hold of your product.
yeah,
Gosh, what an opportunity. And man, his stuff is crazy. I'm
it
sure you
is.
guys have seen it,
It's
like,
nuts. Oh yeah.
gosh.
But even like getting the raw Snapchats of what he's doing in a day, like he was working on a Miata, turbo exhaust manifold yesterday, and it was just like,
Yeah,
oh my gosh,
yeah.
like his setup is crazy.
I knew I was never gonna be there in welding. Like, that's just not
Same.
gonna happen for me.
No.
I got hundreds of bend tests from college, and I can weld and stick it together, and I passed all the stuff. Maybe not first time, but
Yeah.
to get to that level is a significant amount of work, sacrifice, time. Like, man, you don't just like get there. It's a journey. For I'm sure he's been through some stuff.
Definitely. But
yeah,
he's also doing kind of like what that kid never shows his face. That kid has more followers for someone that doesn't show, like people don't know like who he is. They know his page. They don't know who he is.
Yeah,
And he loves that. He does not want to show his face
yeah,
whatsoever.
and
So,
I get that. I respect that.
absolutely.
Because he's not selling his face; he's selling his welds and his product, right? And sure, people want to know the welder behind the torch or behind the hood, but for me, I'm kind of the same way. I'm just not big on showing my face on Instagram, because I want my product to shine more than my face, I suppose.
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah. And pulling it back into social media, you had a couple videos that have performed super well, but I think it was like you have to remind me and tell this story to the people that haven't seen that video, but I think it was like a cricket
Yeah,
inside of one of your engines or
yeah,
something.
man. So that video got like 140,000 views. It's crazy. So I built a car. I'm into drifting and cars, right? And I was redoing a transmission because I bent the output shaft, right? And so I pulled this tranny that I brought from Japan. I've had this transmission for 18 years, something like that, 15 years. And it's been sitting in a storage unit or my garage for all of those 15 years. So I start breaking it apart, and I get to, I can't remember what I was pulling off on it. But I'm pulling something off, and it's kind of internal to the transmission, right? And I'm sitting on a stool, and I'm on the ground, and I'm doing my thing. And I pull it off, and I kind of look away, and I look back, and a cricket comes crawling out of the transmission. But I was sitting so close to it that, like, it freaked me out, right? So I like screamed like a girl. And man, I couldn't believe this cricket had been living in this tranny for some odd years, right? But yeah, so I shot a little picture, a little video of it, and I was like, yo, this dude come crawling out, et cetera, et cetera. And man, the video like blew up. It was crazy.
I remember the first time I saw that. I showed like everybody. That was
Yeah,
hilarious.
it's
And
crazy, man.
then, yeah, so what cars do you have?
Man, I brought a Nissan Laurel. It's a C33 Laurel. The drift community will know.
Mhm.
C33 Laurel, made by Nissan. It's a 4-door, and I brought that back from Japan. I imported it. When you come back from overseas in the Navy or military, you can bring one car back. and it's paid for by the Navy. So I had to pay, I think, $200 in the end. I can't remember what it was all for. Maybe at the customs, when I picked it up from customs, you got to pay a fee. But it's handled all through the Navy. So you drop it off at like a export station that's kind of controlled by the military. They do an inspection, etc., and then they put it on a ship and then bring it to the port kind of your choice, or kind of where you're going to be located. And so, yeah, at one point they lost it. I guess it had transferred ships or whatever. And so, they give you updates and you can check your email, like, where's my car? And yeah, they lost it for like 2 weeks. They were like, they don't know what to tell you, dude, I was panicking, right? But in the end, they were like, oh, it's on a different ship. And then they got the bill of lading or whatever and sent it to me. So yeah, I picked it up in, I want to say I picked it up down in San Diego. And then I drove it back up to the base, and then I drove it all the way back to Nebraska later.
No way. That's awesome.
Yeah, super cool. And then I've got an Infinity M30, so it's a 2-year car. They made them in 90 and 91, so there's not very many of them left. And then I did a motor swap and all that on it, put an RBN engine in it, and it gets down. It's coming along pretty nice. So.
Is that that Nissan, is that the white one that you had in your garage?
That's the Infinity.
The Infinity, yeah.
The Laurel is like a cream and gold kind of.
Okay,
like
so I saw
champagne.
Yeah. When I lived up there, because obviously, I was living in the same neighborhood.
Yeah, like 2 houses down, right?
Yeah, literally like 2 cul-de-sacs down or whatever. Every time I go by, you'd have your garage. I saw that Infinity, and I thought, damn, is it left-hand drive?
Yeah, so the Infinity's left-hand drive, and the Laurel's right-hand drive.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure I saw the Infinity, and I was like, oh shit, the steering wheel's on the other side. I don't know a whole lot about cars, but that bitch is bad.
Yeah.
So I remember seeing it. It's a gorgeous car. So, and then come to find out, met you in college, and I was like, oh, he brought that from overseas, because I knew you were stationed overseas for a while. So that's cool that the military will bring it over for free, though. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, there's a few stipulations. You got the 25-year rule, so it's got to be certain age and et cetera, et cetera. I want to say you have to own the car for an amount of time, but I had that car for a while, so it's actually my second Laurel. I had another one a long time ago, and it was so beat up, man, that we couldn't get it through the Japanese inspection, because it was a full-blown drift car, it had no business on the streets. But yeah, we couldn't get it through the inspection, and so we basically just stripped it completely down to a shell and got rid of the shell, and then all those parts went onto the new car.
Yeah, my uncle was stationed in Japan. He's in the Air Force. He flew a Strato tanker.
Okay.
And he was telling me how intense, they don't like used cars over there, or their inspections are pretty high end.
Yeah, and they don't really drive a lot of old cars. There's a huge tax for the age of your car, and once it gets a certain age, most Japanese get rid of it and get a new one, because it's actually cheaper to get and drive a new one than pay the taxes and fees on an old one. So if you see a dude driving an old car in Japan, they probably got some money. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, one time I was with my dad and my grandpa. We were driving to the transfer station getting rid of something. We were tearing up my dad's old driveway. And so we were driving back from the dump, and you're in front of us at a red light, and my grandpa I didn't even realize this. My grandpa goes, "Dirty 30." I was like, "What? Where?" That's Steve.
Yeah. That's the license plate, man. Dirty 30.
That's awesome.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I'd like to come see it. We're coming up in Thanksgiving in November, so I'd like to come finally see it.
Yeah, stop by, man. Stop by. I'll show you the setup, the machine shop, and all that.
Absolutely. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Take you for a spin, man. It's not fucking nuts, it won't knock your socks off, but it's a good ride, man. I'll take you for a ride.
I like cool cars. I've always been interested in that stuff, especially the drift community. So
yeah,
it's always playing in the background in my YouTubes in my shop. Just drift videos, or all sorts of the build videos and whatnot, because that has a fabrication in it, so I can at least I can understand what they're doing there. Oh, they're fabricating. Okay, I can get onto that.
Yeah, I had to. There's a video on the Holiday Routine garage page of, because I'm not an expert welder by any means, and I didn't know that you can't TIG weld with the zinc primer. The zinc will jump up to your tungsten and just destroy it, right?
Yep.
So I found out the hard way, laying under the car trying to weld in a little bracket, right? And it sparks and shoots all over, and it catches my shoulder. I'm on fire, under the car trying to. And that was a good one. I didn't do very well on views, but I thought it was a good video.
At FabTech this year in the Edge Everlast booth, there was I don't know like what the proper term. It was like a trike, like a for like paraplegic
Okay.
people that race bikes like through fucking mountains and shit. And I didn't. It was all made out of magnesium.
Oh,
And
I was thinking it was
I don't know nothing about magnesium.
Yeah, magnesium's crazy, man.
When we were tearing it apart, I couldn't believe how light it was. But then they were saying like this guy that builds these, I think it was like Lasher Sports or RDA Fabrication or something in Vegas, has to keep his shop like ultra clean because otherwise it'll combust all
Yeah,
the
if you
magnesium
see,
dust.
like, you could research magnesium fire.
Mm-hmm.
Magnesium burns at like an insane brightness and an insane temperature, and so I can't
White
imagine.
hot.
Yeah, it's wild. It's funny. The aircraft I used to work on in the Navy, the wheels and some of the brake system was made out of magnesium, and they fail sometimes. And when they do, it's catastrophic. The fire and the stuff that happens from that is wild. So I can't even imagine welding that. You know what I mean? That's
Well, yeah. What was your designation in the military? What'd you do?
So I was what's called an AM, or aviation structural mechanic, and so they combined like a hydraulic mechanic and a structural mechanic into one and called it the AM, because it used to be AMS and then AMH, but they made it into one. So yeah, basically a hydraulic and structural aircraft mechanic.
Very cool. Okay.
Yeah. And that kind of rolled over right into welding, because in the AM rating, you kind of have some specialties. Like I said, you have your structures, you have your hydraulics, and then you also have non-destructive inspection techs. And then you also have welders, aviation or aircraft welders. And those dudes are welding some crazy stuff, right? So you kind of have like 4 genres mixed into one. And so when I got out, welding, machining, and drafting kind of rolled right into what I've already been trained and educated on.
I remember you telling me once that like the way it works in the military is each year you get a budget, and if you don't spend that whole budget, then it you don't get as big of a budget the next year
Yeah.
on like tools and machines and whatever.
Yep.
So you were
Tools,
saying like
aircraft, all kinds of stuff. So we call it the color of money, because the stuff that buys your like desks and all that isn't the same that buys like fuel for the aircraft, and that money isn't the same that you buy tools and the gear for your crew or etc. Right? So yeah, as far as like operational budgets go, if you don't use it, you lose it, is what they say. And so yeah, we had a pretty high and hefty like what we call a flight schedule or an op tempo. And so, yeah, they're always pushing for extra flights, extra flights per day. Let's get the aircraft in the air. That's the name of the game, is keep them in the air. But yeah, so there's always a push. And then at the end of the year, they'll be like, hey, we got to order, $15,000 worth of office furniture, but we spent all the money for like tools or like your coveralls or your gear that you go up to the flight deck with. We spent all that, but we need to order like 20 grand worth of office furniture. And you're like, yo, I'm wearing this busted ass shirt or these busted ass boots, and y'all can't get me new ones, but I got to figure out how to order 20 grand worth of office equipment. Like, come on, man. It's crazy. It's the government. And so, yeah, man, it was definitely an experience.
20 grand worth of office furniture that'll fit on a ship as well.
Yeah, well, not all that goes to the ship, because you got your land base, so you go out to the ship, you basically bring all of your equipment that's required for like working on aircraft. So the support equipment, all the ground equipment, that's all out on the ship actually. And then you bring your crew, all of your tools, all of your computers, all of your gear, but you kind of leave most of your furniture at the land base, at your home base. And then when you get out to the ship kind of has their own chairs and desks and filing cabinets. So you'll go from your shop, set up your shop, and then pack it all up into what we call tri-walls, these huge boxes. And then you take it to the ship and unpack that back into your shop, into the ship. You settle in, do your deployment, and then come back, pack it up again, and go back to your land base, unpack the shit, do your ops there, and then pack it right back up again and go back to the ship. And so, yeah, it was, man, it's an experience.
Sounds awful.
It was not enjoyable.
Sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah,
oh my goodness.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, I'd say we were gone, 8 or 9 months out of every year with, probably 3 months at your home port, and then a month and a half or so of that on what we call like on detachment, so you'd have to pack all your shit up and go to another country and do ops over there, and then pack your shit up, come back, unpack it into your home base, pack the shit back up and go back out to the ship. And then, rinse, repeat, recycle, or rinse, recycle, repeat, whatever it is, just over and over and over. So
knowing you for a couple of years now, like, to anybody listening that knows me well enough, I'll forget what I'm saying while I'm saying it. I'm a super forgetful dude. And there's only a couple things that I've ever heard in life that, like, I think of or have reminded to me daily just because of situations that I'm in. And one thing you've always said, since probably like the first day I met you, I bet you said it, is when you wipe your ass, you wipe until there's no more shit.
That's right. That's right. You're going to do something, do it all the way,
Right.
You don't wipe halfway through, quit, you wipe that some bitch till it's clean. And that kind of goes into everything in life, man. If you're going to do something, do it all the way, and do it all the way right, So when are you done prototyping? What's the timeline? Well, there is no timeline. You do it until it's done. You do it until the product's legit. If you commit to something, you follow through. You don't just do it halfway. You don't go to McDonald's and order a burger and then bail before they give it to you, right? You do it all the way, right? You get your stuff and you finish it. And so, yeah, if you're going to wipe your ass, man, wipe it all the way. And it's clear when you walk the streets or live life, you can tell who's not wiping their ass real quickly because it reflects in all aspects of their life. So, yeah, absolutely, man.
We appreciate you coming on. Here's one thing we ask every guest before we end each episode. What is your favorite genre of music to listen to while you work or weld?
Man, so I'm kind of like, I don't really have a favorite. I kind of listen to everything, but I've been on Spotify and they have like an AI thing that kind of just plays, etc. And I don't think it's legit. I think it's confused because do you know what the music PHONK funk is?
Yeah. I've heard.
It's like locked on that, man. I can't play anything else. And so, yeah, that's kind of what I've been listening to, man. But old school, I was into trance and like dubstep a little bit. And then, I grew up on like classic rock, you know what I mean? So it goes from like classic rock into funk into some dubstep and back, interesting. One thing I don't listen to is country. It's just not my jam. So, people are going to probably like freak out over that. Yeah, it's just, I'm not against it. I just don't play it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
well, we appreciate you coming on, Steve. To everybody listening, we'll have Steven's social media links and Etsy page in the show notes. We'd appreciate a review on the Apple Podcast or Spotify or TuneIn or Pandora or Amazon, Audible, whatever you're listening on. I'll have my Everlast link and Edge Welding Cups discount code and link in the show notes as well. And Andrew?
And you can check out subtleleatherworks.net. I believe the link is in our bio here for the podcast, as well as my Everlast link. You can get all your custom welding hoods and other leather goods there. We got a whole bunch of new products and paints and colors and stuff coming out, so go check it out. Mr. Steven, we really appreciate you coming on. It's always a pleasure talking to you, especially at Bryn's wedding. I talked to you probably longer than I talked to anybody else, so that was a pleasure. And
good conversation.
Look forward to hopefully discussing for FabTech 2026.
Hell yeah, man. Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity, guys. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.